The photographer was already waving us toward the tall windows for the family picture when my sister looked at my daughter and said it loud enough for the whole room to hear. "Sweetheart, why don't you sit this one out? Let's keep the first photo to the family image." Sophie is 12. She looked at me like I was supposed to fix the room. I smiled because my mother had already heard every word, and Vanessa had forgotten whose birthday this was. My name is Claire. That night was my mother's 80th, and before the cake was ever cut, the one thing my sister could not arrange was the picture she cared about most. The party was in a restored barn on the edge of town, the kind with warm bulbs strung across the beams and long tables dressed in cream linen. Everyone kept telling Vanessa how beautiful it was. She kept saying, "Thank you," as if she had done it. I had done it. I had found the venue in March. I had put down the deposit in April. I had picked the caterer, tasted 3 menus on a Tuesday afternoon while Sophie did homework in the car, and I had hired the photographer because my mother had said once, quietly, that no one had taken a nice picture of the whole family since my father died. Nobody at that party knew any of that, and that was fine with me. I've never needed the room to look at me. I only needed my mother to have one good night. My sister Vanessa is 2 years older than me and has spent all 46 of her years being the one people notice when she walks in. She married Grant, who sells commercial real estate and wears the kind of watch that starts conversations. Their 2 boys are tall and easy and photograph well. Vanessa loves the word family. She says it the way other people say money. At holidays, she decides who sits where. She decides which stories get told and which ones quietly disappear. For most of my life, I let her, because fighting Vanessa is like arguing with weather. But Sophie is not weather. Sophie is my daughter, and I raised her alone after her father left, and she is the gentlest person I know. Sophie reads 3 books a week and apologizes to furniture when she bumps into it. She had spent that afternoon making a card for her grandmother, a real one, folded paper and colored pencil, with a drawing of the 2 of them in the garden where they plant tomatoes every June. She wore a green dress we bought on sale and fixed at the hem ourselves. In the car, she asked me if she looked all right. I told her she looked like herself, which is the best thing a person can look like. She believed me. That is the part I keep coming back to. She walked into that barn believing she belonged, because she did. We were barely through the door when Vanessa found us. She looked at Sophie's dress for a half-second longer than a person should, and then she smiled. "Oh, you came," she said to me. "I wasn't sure you'd make it work with everything." Everything. My job, she meant. My apartment. My life without a Grant in it. "We wouldn't miss Mom's birthday," I said. "Of course not." She was already looking past us. "Put your gift on the side table. The real presents are going on the piano." Sophie set her folded card on the side table without a word. I watched her do it, and I decided, the way you decide 100 small things at a family party, to let it go. My mother's name is Eleanor. She is 80 and sharp as a tack about everything except her own health, which she hides from all of us and shares only with me, because I am the one who drives her to the appointments. I am the one who fills the pill organizer on Sundays. I am the one who sits in the beige waiting rooms and writes down what the doctor says, so she does not have to remember it wrong later. Vanessa sends flowers on holidays. I send myself. When Mom saw Sophie that night, her whole face changed. "There's my girl," she said, and she held out both hands. "Not for me, For Sophie." Sophie went to her and folded into her side like she was 6 again, and my mother kissed the top of her head and said, "You sit next to me, you hear? I don't care what the little cards say." The little cards. Vanessa had made place cards. There were place cards on every setting in Vanessa's careful handwriting, tied with twine, because that was the aesthetic. At the long head table, under the best light, she had seated Grant, the boys, herself, her friends from the club, and my mother at the center like a prop. Sophie's card was at a small table by the kitchen doors, next to a cousin's toddler and an empty chair. Mine was beside it. My mother saw the arrangement before I did. She reached over, picked up Sophie's card and mine, and set them down at the head table on either side of her own seat. She did it slowly with 2 hands, the way she does everything now. "Eleanor," Vanessa said, coming over fast, "we had it balanced." "It's balanced now," my mother said, and she sat down. Vanessa is never rude for long. Rude is not her tool. She smiled and said, "Of course, Mom. Whatever you want, it's your night." And she moved 2 of her club friends down a seat, and she made it look gracious. And everyone told her again how lovely everything was. Then she leaned toward me while the toasts were being set up and said, "Lo, you could have warned me she'd want the drama. I built a whole seating plan." I almost laughed. I had built the whole party, but I had learned a long time ago that Vanessa's version of events is the one that gets repeated, and that correcting her in public only makes you look like the difficult one. So I said nothing, and I refilled my mother's water glass, and I watched Sophie carefully cut her chicken into small, even pieces so she would not spill on the cream linen. Halfway through dinner, a young woman in a black apron crouched next to my chair. She was from the catering company. She had a clipboard and an apology on her face. "Sorry to bother you," she whispered. "You're Claire? The card said to find you for the final count and the balance at the end of the night. Are we still good for the extra dessert plates?" I told her yes, 30 extra, and to bring the coffee out with the cake. She thanked me and slipped away. Across the table, one of Vanessa's friends had heard. She looked at me, then at Vanessa, then back at her plate, and something in her face rearranged itself, just a little. Grant gave a toast. He is good at toasts. He talked about family and legacy and the strength of the women in this family. And he raised his glass to Vanessa. "Who put all of this together?" And the room drank to my sister. Vanessa did not correct him. She pressed her hand to her chest and mouthed, "Thank you," and let it happen. I looked at my mother. My mother looked at me. She did not say anything either. She just found my hand under the table and held it. And I understood that she knew, and that she had always known, and that she was saving something up. I want to be honest about what I did for the next hour, because it was not brave. It was ordinary. I refilled water. I took my mother to the restroom. I caught a candle that a toddler nearly pulled off a table. I told the photographer where the good light would be at 8 because I had scouted the room that morning while the staff set up. Sophie helped me. She carried plates that were not hers to carry. She read a picture book to the toddler at our old table by the kitchen so the child would stop crying during the speeches. She did the invisible work that women in my family have always done, and she did it at 12 without being asked. Nobody noticed. That is not a complaint. That is how I learned to move through a room. Near 8, Sophie found me by the coffee station and asked me something in a small voice. "Mom, is Aunt Vanessa mad at me?" I crouched down so we were eye to eye. No, baby, she's not mad at you. She's just worried about how things look tonight. And sometimes when grown-ups are worried about how things look, they say things they'd be ashamed of if they slowed down. Did I do something? You made a card with your own hands for your grandmother. You did the kindest thing in this whole barn. I fixed a piece of her hair. You belong here more than the linens do. She almost smiled. Then the photographer clapped his hands and called for the family by the tall windows, and my stomach dropped because I already knew what my sister was going to do. The photographer wanted the family grouped by the tall windows where the string lights doubled in the glass. He was cheerful and quick, the way you have to be to move 30 relatives. Okay, immediate family first, he said. Then we'll add everyone. Grandma in the center, she's the star tonight. My mother went to the center. Vanessa began to arrange people around her the way she arranges everything, with her hands and her voice, gently, firmly deciding. Grant here, the boys here. Vanessa on Mom's right. Me. She waved toward the back and I went, because that is where I always go. And then she looked at Sophie, who had stepped up beside me, and her face did the thing it had done at the door. Sweetheart, Vanessa said to my daughter in that warm voice that carries, why don't you sit this one out? Let's keep the first one polished. Then we'll do a fun one with everybody after. The barn did not go silent the way it does in stories. The music kept playing. Most people did not even hear it. That is how these things happen. They happen small, at the edge of a happy room, to a child who is too polite to make it loud. Sophie's face went still. She looked at me. She did not cry. She just started to step back, out of the frame, because a grown-up had told her to, and she's a good girl, and good girls step back. I want to tell you, I said something perfect. I didn't. My throat closed. Every old habit in my body told me to keep the peace, to smile, to take Sophie's hand and walk her quietly to the coffee station and let the family have their picture, and to cry in the car later where no one could see. I put my hand on Sophie's shoulder to stop her stepping back. That was all I had in me. One hand on my daughter's shoulder, holding her where she stood. And that was when my mother spoke. Stop the picture, my mother said. She said it the way she used to call us in from the yard when we were small, and 40 relatives stopped the way we used to stop. The photographer lowered his camera. The room turned. My mother, who moved slowly now, who I had walked to the restroom an hour before, stood up straight in the center of that frame and looked at my sister. Vanessa, she said, whose birthday is this? Vanessa laughed a little, the laugh you use to make a room think everything is fine. Yours, Mom, of course. That's why I want it perfect. Then I'll tell you who's in the picture, my mother said, because it's my picture. She held out her hand toward Sophie. Come here, baby. Sophie did not move at first. She looked at me. I nodded, and she walked across that cream linen and all those turned faces and took her grandmother's hand. My mother pulled her in close to her side, right in the center, where Vanessa had put herself. This is my granddaughter, my mother said to the room. She made me a card with her own 2 hands. It's the only present on that side table because she's the only one who didn't send a check and call it love. She looked around at all of them. If Sophie is not in this picture, there is no picture. Nobody said anything for a moment. Then Grant, who is not a bad man, only a comfortable one, said quietly, She's right, Van. Come on, let the kid in. One of Vanessa's club friends, the one who had heard the caterer, said, "It's a beautiful dress, honey," to Sophie, and it landed like an apology because that is what it was. And Vanessa stood there in the center of the family she had spent her whole life arranging. And for the first time I could remember, she did not know where to put her hands. It might have ended there, gentle and sad. But the young woman in the black apron came out of the kitchen just then with the coffee, and she did not know the temperature of the room, and she walked right up to me in front of everyone. "Claire, so sorry, one more thing. The manager needs to know if you want us to box the extra desserts to send home with your mother, since you're covering everything tonight. And should the final invoice go to your email or the one you booked with?" You could hear the string lights hum. Vanessa turned and looked at me. Really looked at me. The way you look at a person you thought you had memorized and find you never read at all. "You booked this?" she said. I did not make it a speech. I have watched my sister make everything a speech for 46 years, and I did not want to become her in the 1 minute of my life when the room was finally listening. "I found the barn in March," I said. "I picked the caterer. I hired the photographer because Mom said she wanted one good picture of all of us." I looked at my mother, not at Vanessa. I wasn't going to say anything. It was supposed to be a gift. The photographer, God bless him, lifted his camera halfway and said, to no one and everyone, "So, where do you want the little girl?" My mother answered him. "Center," she said, "next to me. She's been standing there the whole time. The rest of you fit in around her." So they fit in around her. Grant moved. The boys moved. Vanessa's club friends moved. My mother kept one arm around Sophie the whole time and did not let go, not for a single frame. And in the last shot, the one that hangs now in my mother's hallway, Sophie is in the center in her green dress with the hem we fixed ourselves, and she is laughing because her grandmother whispered something in her ear right before the flash. I asked Sophie later what Grandma said. She told me. She said they'll spend the rest of the night wishing they'd been nicer to the girl in the middle. Vanessa found me by the coats near the end of the night. She had a coffee she wasn't drinking. For a while, she didn't say anything, which, for my sister, is its own kind of confession. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" she finally said. "You let Grant toast me. You let all of them think I did it." "Because I didn't do it for the credit," I said. "I did it for her." I nodded toward the barn, where our mother was showing Sophie off to a table of people who were suddenly very interested in the card on the side table. Vanessa looked at her hands. "I didn't mean it the way it sounded, with Sophie." "You never do," I said. "That's what makes it worse. You'd have to slow down to mean it, and you never slow down." I picked up my mother's coat and Sophie's coat and my own. "She's a good kid, Van. She carried plates all night that weren't hers. Ask anyone who was actually watching." I did not scream at my sister. I did not send a group text the next morning, laying it all out. I did not make her pay me back for the barn, though she offered, twice, in the careful voice of a person trying to turn a wound back into a receipt. I let it be what it was. My mother had her one good night. My daughter is in the center of the only family photo that hangs in that house. And Vanessa has to walk past it every time she visits and see who was really holding the family together in a green dress at 12 years old. It has been a year now. My mother turned 81 last month, and this time there was no barn and no photographer and no place cards. There was my kitchen and a lasagna and Sophie's homemade card, number 2 in what my mother now calls her collection. Vanessa came. She brought a store cake, and she was quieter than she used to be. And when the four of us squeezed together so Sophie could take a picture on her phone, Vanessa did not arrange anyone. She let the girl decide who stood where. Sophie put her grandmother in the center. Then she put me on one side and her aunt on the other. And she got in front where the youngest goes. And she said, "Okay, everybody, family picture." And she grinned when she said it. And for once, nobody flinched. Because this time, nobody was arranging her out of it. My mother keeps both pictures in the hallway now, the barn and the kitchen, side by side. People who visit always ask about the little girl in the green dress in the center of the first one. My mother tells them the same thing every time. She says, "That's the one who belonged. It just took the rest of us a minute to see it." So let me ask you, if you had been in that barn watching a child told to step out of the frame at her own grandmother's party, would you have kept the peace the way I almost did? Or would you have put your hand on her shoulder and held her exactly where she stood? Tell me in the comments. I read every one.